We are here today at Uxmal, the Mayan ruins about an hour to an hour and a half south of Merida. That is your first view of Uxmal. So when you get to the top of the hill, up here to the governor's palace, this is what you're greeted with. Now, what's kind of interesting about some of the buildings here, and I'll get a close-up and I'll show you some pictures here as well, but the buildings here at Uxmal were part of what's known as the Puuc design. And what that was a later generation design of buildings where they would have heavy ornamentation at the tops. So you'd see lots of carvings, lots of designs, those types of things, making it look much more ornate than many of the buildings we've seen in some of the other places. So if you look at the screen here, you can see what I'm talking about when it comes to some of the ornate designs on this building. Just incredible. Here upon this plinth is the Jaguar throne. So this was a piece that was recovered here at Uxmal, which is a stone throne that was probably meant for one of the upper level rulers, perhaps the governor themselves. When they were excavating this place, they actually found an offering of some 900 different pieces, jewelry, beads, various things. But it's a pretty cool piece. So we're still up here by the governor's mansion, and this here is what's known as the Shrine of the Pillory. And it had a square base around it, as you can see. And this stone was actually flattened on one side and has hieroglyphs written on it. It was also known as the flagellation pole, where people would come to serve punishment. But yeah, it's a pretty odd looking stone given the angle that it's on. There's a lizard up inside of it. You can just see his tail there at the bottom. Let's make our way over. So this again was another building that prior to COVID you were able to go up inside of. That's obviously, like all the others, has been closed off since that time. But it's an absolutely beautiful building. So just made my way around to the back side here of the governor's palace, where you can see it's not quite as well restored to this point, but which I kind of like, I guess, in a way. So this building here, which is just in the same area as the governor's mansion, is known as the House of the Turtles, or Casa de las Tortugas. And the reason for that is because if you look at the top, it is adorned with carvings in stone of turtles. So there's an example there. You can see it's even got the carvings on the back of the turtle shell, which is pretty amazing. And they encircle the entire building. So we walk around this way. Now a lot of them are obviously damaged over time. There's some more on this side as well, which are actually in a bit better shape along the roof tiles. So this design of the buildings, which you can see is the same at the governor's mansion and on this House of the Turtles, is the same thing. So the bottom halves of the buildings from here to here were very plain. They were, built with a purpose. Doorways, walls, those types of things. And then the top halves, so here, and then as well over in the governor's mansion and other places we've seen, that's where the carvings would happen, all the designs would happen, intricate in most cases. So from up here you get quite the view of a lot of the rest of the park. You come right up to the edge here, flip this around, and so there's the temple where you first come in, and then there's the ball field here. There's some more buildings over there which we're going to go check out, and then just up here of course is the governor's mansion. So if we head over here behind the governor's mansion, you come to what's known as the Great Pyramid out back here, and it is not fully restored yet, and also has evidence that another building existed inside of it, but it hasn't been fully determined yet. So we're going to head down some very sketchy looking stairs. But there's a whole series of buildings here leading up over to that Grand Pyramid. Let's head over and have a look. Making our way over here towards the Grand Pyramid. All kinds of other buildings and structures here along the way. So we're just approaching the temple here, the Grand Pyramid. So it's got 9 different layers to it. You can see them counting up the side here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The top has not been fully excavated yet, but does have that similar design style to it. So you've got very plain and basic structure here, and then some very ornate design across the top of the temple as well. We'll head over this way. So just up here past the Grand Pyramid is what's known as the Temple of the Doves. So the Temple of the Doves got its name because when it was excavated and found, the idea was that the top of this looked like a dovetail, and so that's where the name came from. So it's not the traditional name that would have been here, but that's now what it's known by now. It's a huge building that I believe has more behind it there as well. And then over this side, as you walk through here, and this is believed to be one of the oldest parts of Uxmal here. You can see that there's still a lot of work to be done over here with restoration efforts, and down through the back there as well. And then you can actually see some buildings here with all 4 of the walls still intact going along this side here. Here in the middle you can see the entranceway into the rest of the temple that would have sat behind this. Really cool looking structure though, with the different triangles on top. So let's head back this way, because there was a section towards the beginning that I skipped over initially and said I would come back to. So that's where we're going to head to. Just going to make our way down again. So we made our way down from up here. Governor's Mansion, House of the Turtles, Grand Pyramid, and so on. And this way we can actually walk around. It's actually a little bit less busy coming through this way as well, so which is kind of nice, because then you can kind of see some of the back sides of some of these things. Don't fall in the hole. This is an absolutely stunning spot. Yeah, if you're in Merida, there is zero reason to not come and check out Uxmal here. It's a beautiful location up here in the forest. There's some really nice sights to see here. Things are very well preserved. And the other nice thing about coming here as well is that it's not super duper busy like I know some of the other sites are. I've been pretty lucky, I would say. This is my third major ruins that I've seen in the last couple weeks, and this is, I would say this is the busiest, but it's really not that bad at all. So definitely worth coming and checking out. Just a quick interior shot here of the next building we're about to go check out. Again, with these vaulted roofs and little living quadrants. So the last building we're going to enter here is what's known as the Nunnery. Now this building's name came from the Spaniards when they first discovered it. That was not the original name to it, but that's the de facto name that's used for it today. So the reason the Spaniards gave it the name is because it reminded them of a Spanish convent with its design with the 4 buildings facing an inner courtyard. The nunnery is directly behind the Pyramid of the Magician, which is the one you first see when you first come in here. So I'm just waiting for this crowd to clear out, and then we will go inside and have a look. So here inside the nunnery now, and you can see that the 4 buildings are here. So there's the entranceway right there where everyone's standing in front of. You can see there's some restoration work going on over here. This is the north building here, which is the oldest building of the 4. So these were not all built at the same time. This is the oldest one, however. And there's a significant stone over here directly in front. So this stone here, as you can see, is adorned with dozens of Mayan glyphs that are written on it. It looks like it's about 6 across and 6 high on the back, and then additional at the base as well. And of course, on the building itself, you see the same style of construction with the very simplistic bottom levels and then the heavily ornate design on top. And each building is different. So this one here is, there's lots of kind of jagged geometric designs. There's some faces on those high pieces. But if we go over here to the west building, so this western building was the last of the 4 to be built. And the front of this one has a completely different design than the rest. This one here was heavily adorned with animals, snakes, human figures, those types of things. So you can see here there's actually a snake. There's a tail that wraps up and around, and then 2 of them twist together, and then it comes back out here to the head. And that similar design continues down the front of the buildings. There's other things here which are kind of interesting. On the tail of the serpent, there's actually a bowl of water which is flowing out. There's a human person there with a mask above it. They say that Uxmal has some of the best preserved Puc style buildings here, anywhere in the entire Mayan region. And you can see why. I mean, yeah, the efforts that have been put into restoring this place and making it look original again is incredible. So you can see over there on the eastern building. It's a much more geometric style again, but it's more horizontal, pyramid style lines, those types of things. And then finally the south building, which has the main entranceway into here, has these little sort of almost mini temples designed across the top. So yeah, so every building is different. This was a building that was used by some of the rulers here at Uxmal over the years. And of course it has this beautiful courtyard here in the middle as well. And just behind the east building, where the restoration work is happening, you can see the Temple of the Magician in the back, which is the building you see when you first enter here, which is a pretty impressive building all on its own. If you saw nothing else and just saw that, it'd be still an impressive trip here to Uxmal. Just out in front of this quadrangle temple we just came out of, the aforementioned nunnery, you can see here there's still more structures, the bases of which still exist. So this one here was a building that probably had 3 or 4 rooms. This one here has got a giant tree growing out of it. Let's go around the corner here. So one of the cooler shots here at Uxmal is if you come around the corner here from the nunnery, which you can see just sort of up through there, and you come around to where this Temple of the Magician is. They have this really cool archway here that you can line up and get a really nice photograph from. So we are just here at the backside of the Pyramid of the Magician, and yeah, it's almost as remarkable at the backside as it is on the front. You can see here just how, so we thought the front steps were steep earlier. These ones were far steeper than the front and quite shallow as well. So you can imagine the effort needed to ascend these stairs. But as you did, you'll notice that throughout the sides of the stairwell here, and there's some on the other side here which we'll have a look at too, there's 12 stages as you climb up these stairs, and each one of those represents a level in the sky. And so then when you got to the top, that was the 13th step, which was the Mayan version of heaven. And yeah, that was what it was like to try and climb these temples. Beautiful spot. And here's the backside of one of the 4 buildings in the square. We're going to make our way around this way, back out towards the front. So I would say that the 2-hour suggested time for completing a tour of Uxmal is, I would say, about bang on. I've been here now for about 2.5 hours, and that included a couple stops for some, water breaks. It is hot up here, so don't try and just try to power through it all. Find some shade, of which there is lots. And yeah, take some rest breaks and drink lots of water, and you'll be fine. But this is quite the incredible spot, and I would definitely recommend everyone come here and check it out. As you can see from the video today, it's never been super busy. There's people here, but it's certainly not to the level of crowds that you see in a lot of other spots. There are many, many places you can come and visit ruins of the Maya, of the Aztec here in Mexico. I would say this is as good as any of them. From, I've seen pictures of other ones, I've been to some, and I would say that this is probably one of the finest ones of all so far. I believe that's going to do it for our tour of Uxmal here today, south of Merida here in the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. Fantastic day, highly recommend it. I hope that you found this video useful in providing you some information and showing you some of the sites. Of course, nothing will ever beat actually coming and seeing these places yourself, but if you're unable to, I hope this video was a good tour for you. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe down below. Maybe leave a comment to let me know that you were here. I'd love to hear from you and on your thoughts and your feedback. If you'd like to support me further, there's a couple of links below where you can do that. One is through a Patreon page that I have set up. The other one is through an online store where I have some t-shirts and mugs and things for sale. And remember, life is short. Wander. I'll see you in the next video.